One.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of National Pastime. John Toaster and J Rob here. And we're getting a second episode in this week because the trade deadline was so fucking nuts. But we still wanted to give you our picks for week 9. We'll do a little bit of a week 8 recap here and, get you on your way so you can get those picks in before Thursday. But starting off with how we did this week.
We can skip through that. We traded away that record for a better record at the deadline. Got it in under the 4 p.m. Eastern cutoff.
I wish. So collectively, we were 4-7. Toaster and I both went 1-3. J
4 and 7.
Rob,
That's only 11.
where's
went 3-1.
my? Oh, sorry, 5-7. 5-7.
Okay. Whew, there we go.
J Rob went 3-1. So good for him. You guys are both now at 50% on your picks for the year. So
Sounds like a professional, not an amateur podcast to me.
yeah, I mean,
We're on our
still
way to
losing
Vegas.
money, but whatever. I am all the way down to 41%, so it's not looking good for me right now. But touching on some of those games, because there were a couple picks that did not work out for us here that I think are worth talking about. The first one, the Monday night game, the Bengals and the Browns. Toaster and I were both on the Bengals -3.5. I think J Rob took the Browns +3.5 just for shits and gigs, if I recall correctly. There
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of
I was
thought
trying
there.
not to jinx things. Yeah. I didn't wanna-
And boy,
And
did that not
we had
work
the
out
fourth
well.
quarter called. It was 13-7 Bengals in the fourth quarter. So I think that, it's a game of 60 minutes. You just, focus on the last 15 minutes is what I would say the strategy was.
Yeah.
Should have live bet it. No, that was absolutely embarrassing. Joe Burrow still has not beaten the Browns in his professional career. And where the hell did this come from? The Browns were on life support. They were just treading water. There was rumors that Kareem Hunt was going to be traded if they lost this game, and Jacoby Brissett comes and balls out just enough. Maybe he got inspired by watching Amari Cooper play quarterback, and he's like, "Hey, I can actually do this." But that was a shellacking of the Bengals, and this Super Bowl hangover is gonna be painful. They're still 500, and the NFC North the AFC North is not as tough as it used to be. But you can't lose to division. You can't lose division games like this. This was bad.
No, to Jacoby Brissett, and I'm curious where you guys stand on him. I think, and we talked a little bit about Gardner Minshew in the trade deadline pod. Somehow we got to Gardner Minshew, but and I think he's a legitimate player. Is he like an ideal starting quarterback for a team with championship hopes? No. Is Brissett? No. But you could do
You
a
could
hell of a lot
play
worse
for the
than Jacoby
Colts.
Brissett.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, what this guy continues to do, and obviously he's going to lose his job when Deshaun Watson comes back from his suspension, but remarkable. Like he's not flashy, but every once in a while he throws a flashy moment at you, and you're like, oh, like where did that come from? You
Dude,
know?
that quarterback run, I was like, someone turned the clock back a little bit. Because, dude, like 2 weeks ago, it looked like he could barely, like, walk. He looked like he was like, dude, 11 weeks is a long time to be a
He
starting
kind of
quarterback.
waddles, doesn't he? Like I don't
Yeah.
know. He's not the most athletic of quarterbacks, but like good for him. I would love to see him to continue to get shots on these teams that are going to waste opportunities on a Carson Wentz or the corpse of Matt Ryan. So good for him. But yeah, totally surprising. The Browns, I don't think
They just
they are. I mean, how do we feel about the Browns?
I don't feel good. That was their first win with Brownie at home at center field,
Yeah.
whatever midfield you want to call it. But no, they're not special to me. They were able to get after Joe Burrow this game, and that was the difference. I do think that Jamar Chase not being there as a threat is going to be a huge liability going forward. I did not think that before this game, but it's similar to what we talked about in the trade deadline pod, where Claypool's a guy you can just throw the ball up to. He doesn't necessarily have to be open. Having that asset in Chase, and with Chase, you're probably talking, got an extra eye on him at the very least, if not two, that you're spreading the ball and it opens things up for Higgins and Boyd. But for those two to combine for 6 catches in this game, Burrow didn't have any time, and they just did not have a game plan to take down the Browns. I think both these teams are in some trouble if the AFC wasn't so weak compared to the NFC.
Well, the AFC North, as you said, I mean, like the Ravens are, I think, clearly the best team in that division. They did get a little bit better too with the Roquan Smith trade, but I mean, they're still not impressing you necessarily week in and week out. So I don't know. Maybe these teams figure it out, or they tread water long enough, and it's just going to be a disaster like last few weeks of the season, and may the least shitty team win. But
that was a joke, by the way. It just happens so that the Commanders have the same record as the Bengals right now, and the Commanders are 4th in their division, and Bengals are 2nd.
Yeah. That the NFC East is a juggernaut. All right, so totally caught off guard by that one. Obviously, the Bengals
took it to me.
Taki, yeah. Obviously, the Bengals weren't able to continue their success from the previous week, but good on you, Browns. Good on you, Jacoby Brissett. We'll see what happens there.
Good on you, hedging Happy J-Rob.
Yes, exactly. But
division games are weird, man.
Games are weird. This year, just as a whole, has just been wild. Maybe no better microcosm of that than the Saints Raiders, who Toaster took the Raiders to cover.
I thought the Raiders. I took them at -1.5. I thought they were going to score negative 1.5 points. They scored 0, so they actually did better. Like if they had given up a safety,
covered, they hit the over.
Yeah, they hit the over. Yeah. Where the fuck did this come from? This was Josh McDaniels coming off a bye week against a backup quarterback that just got promoted for the Saints without their top 2 wide receivers. I get that their defense is formidable, but it wasn't surprising me that New Orleans was able to put up 24 points. The fact that you can't scheme an NFL game plan in 14 damn days to score a single point. They weren't over half field until the 2-minute warning. They did not have a snap in New Orleans territory until after the 2-minute warning. This was absolutely abysmal. I know we've talked about Nathaniel Hackett getting fired. Combine the Hackett and McDaniels on some super squad fucking coaching staff somewhere, as long as they don't have head coaching duties, because this was this is embarrassing. This is undeniable. I'm not mad that I lost my pick. I'm just completely flabbergasted that you could come out this flat. You trade for Devontae Adams, and he has 1 damn reception in a game. It's just... you could have had every single person on defense covering Devontae Adams, and I will still would have said he's probably going to get 2 catches.
Yeah. I mean, hell, just throw it to him behind the line of scrimmage and see what happens. Can somebody queue up the clip? And I'm saying this facetiously because I know none of us have, but can we queue up the clip of J-Rob saying that the Raiders were going to have the best offense in the AFC West this year? Because this was not supporting that case, my friend.
Spin zone. I was just emotional hedging, because I hate Josh McDaniels. So it's I'm jinxing him because everything I've said so far this season has gone south and sideways. So just thinking ahead, just big braining it.
The only thing that you've said about the AFC West that has even remotely come to fruition is that the Chargers aren't world beaters, but I think Justin Herbert's injury has quite a bit to do with that.
Yeah, the ribs definitely affect it. Yeah. Dude, they're just doing their best Pac-12 impression. I didn't think they were going to do so well at it, but they're doing a great Pac-12 impression. So props to them.
We took what we thought was going to be the most competitive division in football, the best football in the NFL, and somehow that's coming out of the NFC East right now, and instead the only two teams over 500 in the AFC West are the Chiefs and the Chargers, and arguably the Chargers don't deserve to be there. They barely beat the Browns on a
No, AFC West.
Oh wait, sorry. Sorry. I thought you were still in the NFC East.
They barely beat the Browns on a terrible Brandon Staley decision, and then they beat the Broncos, which was also not all that impressive. They beat the Raiders, and they've lost. There's some bad football being played right now. Tom Brady called it out. That's probably why he left his wife. He's just like, I need to focus, get the NFL straight right now, and get this train righted. But I'd say that this is one of the weaker potential divisions outside of, unfortunately, the NFC South, right? Like, you can't compete with the NFC South when it comes to weakness.
Yeah, the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are leading that division and nobody is we're not saying that because they are playing really well, right? Like, they're playing better than expected, but the rest of that division is just total ass. Boy, there are some just weird performances every week. I mean, do we want to talk about the Falcons real quick before we get to the preview of Week 9? Just because of the end of that game, PJ Walker, Hail Mary, DJ Moore, amazing play. Just don't take your helmet off, bro. I know it's the no fun league. I'm not saying I agree with the rule. Just don't take your helmet off.
I hate that call. And
to be fair, like Eddie Pinheiro probably should have still hit that kick, but that's whatever.
Don't count on kickers, bro. That's why they treat them like shit.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this a little bit before the pod, and the more I think about it, the more it actually bothers me that they called it, because is a play not dead after being called a touchdown?
Well, play is called dead after every play.
You can have unsportsmanlike conduct after the play.
Yeah.
But isn't the rule about taking your helmet off during play, and technically the play is over?
Just on the field.
But he wasn't on the field. He was on the sideline.
No, he was on the north side of the end zone, but we don't have to get into semantics there. I agree. Not the greatest call to lose a team a game, but there you have to stay disciplined. This is actually where I've been super surprised by the Patriots of all teams as far as the lack of discipline that they've had right now. You instill that in the team. You say, this is just not acceptable. I don't care that you're, our number one wide receiver. You need to be the example and say, let's finish out the play. You can take your helmet off. You can take your frickin' cock out for all I care, as long as Pinheiro hits that extra point, we win the game, right? But on the field, you can't do that.
Yeah. I just don't like that play is seared into my brain from when we were 10 years old. And that dude from the Browns took his helmet off, 15-yard penalty.
And beat the Steelers guy over the head with. Oh, sorry. That was less.
That's a little more recently. But like that has always been in my head. I've ever, my whole football watching life essentially has been like, hey, don't take your fucking helmet off on the field. Like, there are consequences to that. It's bad move. Bad move by DJ Moore. As crappy of a penalty as that is, like, you got to be smarter. It cost his team the game. And yeah, your NFC South leading Falcons, Marcus Mariota leading the way. Who would have thought? But
I still can't believe they haven't moved to Riddler.
Mariota's been decent.
Yeah. They're not asking him to do a lot passing, but even when I think he had 12 straight completions this week too. Like, he's being effective.
But why are we giving him such a pass when we don't give these other quarterbacks passes for similar poor performance? Like, wouldn't you want to see what you have in Riddler when Mariota's just been?
He's not.
They're leading the division.
Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you want to throw Drew Lock in for the Seahawks right now?
He's not the reason why they're winning. He's not the reason why they're winning. Their defense has been the reason why they've been in games. Their defense is probably their best asset that they have.
I won't argue that he's not like.
So do you want to sit Russ Wilson too?
Yeah, I actually do. I can't stand watching that guy anymore. That's why I'm so happy for a bye week.
Yeah, I trust me, he is not like the end all be all. I'm not saying he's playing like freaking Tua right now, but he has surprisingly played well with what they've asked him to do in that offense, which is just run a fuck ton of RPOs. Um, I don't think like you can't bench him. And Desmond Ritter, let's just be frank, is probably a lot more of a project than teams are
You
willing to, or the Falcons are maybe willing to admit.
you traded two
But
future first rounders for Trey Lance and still had him sit a year. So taking Desmond Ritter, top of the first round, probably means he needs a little bit more time.
Where did Ritter
weren't there
even get
rumblings
drafted?
that Mariota? I thought there were rumblings that Mariota was like potentially losing his job like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that one.
Potentially.
Maybe,
I mean, Ritter was
he's
also
his... Good.
Ritter was taken in the third round. Like, this isn't necessarily a guy that you're pegging to be the future of your franchise right away. So I think that, look, they're winning. The offense has been fun with Mariota. He hasn't been bad. It's not like we're watching freaking Zach Wilson out here. So, yeah, I mean, keep the train rolling as long as you can, right? Who knows how that division will shake out, frankly.
And they're
But I mean, are
potentially
we
getting their best player back next week after in Cordell Patterson. So
I guess my follow-up question is like, are we having the same conversation about Mariota if the Bucs are winning the division?
I mean,
if they're 4-4, yeah, we're having the same conversation.
Probably. Right. He's been good, man. Like, he's not been like the world beater, like drop back, like dissect you guy, but he's been good. He's been decent.
He might be top 10 in some proprietary quarterback metrics that our very own John will be rolling out soon.
That is true. I mean, I can give you some context to point to some of this. So, pushing the ball down the field, completed air yards per attempt, he's 20% better than league average. Completion percentage over expected, he is 2% better than league average, basically league average there. And win probability added per dropback, 40% better than league average this year. He's making plays that are contributing towards winning, and it's not just reliant on receivers like housing a screen pass. Like, he's playing legitimately well. Now, are there limitations again by, building your boat out of RPOs? Yeah, but they're doing what they need to try to win games, and it's working for the most part. So I don't know. I'm not going to hate on him. Like, we'll give him a shot as long as he keeps this up. But all right, any other thoughts on Week 8 before we move on to our Week 9 preview here?
Just a fun fact about Taylor Heineke. Since 2021, so I mean, we're going really back in the stats here. Since 2021, Taylor Heineke has led more fourth quarter comebacks than Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because all those guys are winning the games.
Yeah, they're sitting on the bench late in the game. No, that's funny.
But I mean, similar vibes like with Mariota. Like, do you ride Heineke the rest of the year and see what he can do next year? Or is this just a filler for what you're going to find in the draft or in a project over the next few years?
I think they got that experiment last year, right?
Yeah, and they gave up a decent amount for Wentz, quite frankly, to not throw him back in there.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Taylor, I mean, I hope he continues to perform and win, because I love that his bonus is related, like $125K for every win that he gets and plays 60% of the snaps. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think we kind of know who he is, which is not a bad backup, but probably not the guy you want leading your team. But I mean, fuck, Wentz has sucked, so why not?
Yeah, couldn't get worse. One more question for you guys: are the Rams dead? Like, are we ready to write them off as not even making the NFC Championship game?
Not in the NFC. Well, not making the NFC Championship game. That's
They won the Super Bowl last year. Like, is that too much to ask that they make the championship game the following year? You know?
I mean, I think expectations need to be readjusted.
Their offensive line is in shambles. They can't, and Stafford's not a mobile quarterback. That's where this is falling apart. They have zero running game. I'm not going to write them off, other than if the writing off is NFC Championship, then yeah, I can write them off.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily willing to say that they are cooked, but things have to start changing for them drastically. And thankfully, the NFC sucks. So,
and that's
go on a little winning streak, and and you're right there. But it's tough, definitely tough. All right, well, let's get to the Week 9 games. Starting with Thursday night, the freaking Eagles are 13.5-point favorites in Houston. I like, what the hell do you do with a 13.5-point line?
Why did we start a primetime parlay? Like, that was the dumbest thing we could do.
Yeah, whose idea was that? No. Toaster, do you want to lead us off your angst over this?
I'm gonna take the points, because points, like, the Eagles are the better team. Everything says Eagles. Everything says if this was 1 point more, it's 100% the Texans, and that's, I mean, I talked about it briefly, but the point spread means absolute shit. The point spread for Vegas is about getting equal money on each side of the spread, and basically it's like crowdsourcing what the game's going to be. 13.5 is right there to say, somebody thinks that the Texans, there can be a missed extra point or something like that, and all of a sudden the Texans are there. There's no reason for the Texans to be in this game, but it's a short week. Weird things happen. They're at home. They don't have to travel. Philadelphia is probably traveling either today, Tuesday, while we're recording this, or they've already traveled there. So just out of the comfort, I'm going to take the points.
J-Rob?
It's tough because 13.5 is a lot of points, but I'm just going to ride the Eagles, dude. They're a wagon. I'm going to be contrary on the short week. I feel like they run a lot of run heavy offense, and Jalen Hurts makes such good decisions that I don't think they're going to be put in a situation where they're giving up turnovers, and that offense is just humming right now. Their defense got better. I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles minus 13.5.
I hate this. I hate it. But I'm gonna go Eagles as well. I mean, I would just feel, no offense, Toaster, I would feel so dumb taking the Texans and then having this just be like a 30-point blowout.
All due respect.
With all due respect.
I completely agree. I would say this is not a bettable game for me if we're going to shrink the primetime parlay. And that's only because the spread is so drastic. And we're talking about legitimately the worst team in the league versus the best team in the league. Yeah. And we're seeing where do the chips fall here, right? Like, I don't think that there's anything that says that Houston should be able to compete with Philadelphia, but it's football. 7 points is a touchdown. And all it takes is, some silly play at the end of the game to bring it back down to under 14. So that's just a big number to me. But yeah. I can completely sympathize with you that usually the passing game is what falters on Thursday nights, and the running game is what the Eagles thrive on. They're going to put up fucking points. No doubt.
Yeah. Ugh. The NFL's been weird, but I don't know. I'm just going to go. My picks have been shit all year. I'm just going to go with the better team here, just not overthink it. All right. So J-Rob and I are on the Eagles. Toaster has the Texans. Sunday night, Titans at Chiefs. Another big line. Chiefs 12.5-point favorites. Is Willis playing again? Is that what this is about?
Vrabel said we'll know Wednesday, so we don't know who's playing at quarterback.
This line as it currently stands makes me feel like it is Malik Willis that will be suiting up. I guess similar to the last pick, it's a lot of points. The Titans only beat the Texans last week 17-10. And that's with Derrick Henry running for over 200 yards. That's not going to happen in this one. If Malik Willis is playing quarterback, it could be really bad. I'm going to take the Chiefs, even giving up 12.5. They're at home. It doesn't. The Titans have far exceeded my expectations for them this year already at 5-2. They're 5-2 against the spread, so clearly they're better than people think. But if Malik Willis is playing quarterback for them, this could be ugly. So I am on the Chiefs minus 12.5. J-Rob?
Just for the sake of parity, I'm parity with some logic. I'm going with the Titans to get plus 12.5. Vrabel shows up in primetime, and I know if Malik Willis plays, I am very concerned about my pick. But I wouldn't be surprised with how poorly Malik Willis played last game that they might be like, hey, Ryan, like, you're feeling better, right? Like, you're feeling better, right?
Yeah.
So mine's kind of a pipe dream shot that Tannehill does play, and that 12.5 becomes a lot tighter than if Malik Willis starts. And as much as Derrick Henry's probably not going to run for 200 yards, like, he wears teams down, and if he does have a good game, that keeps the Chiefs' offense off the field. I don't think the Chiefs lose this game, but I could see a backdoor cover or this game getting muddy and being a game that ends up being closer on the score sheet, but not, from the eyeball point of view.
All
So
right.
I like the Titans.
I'm just going straight points here, and even talking about Ryan Tannehill being quarterback, he has 6 passing touchdowns on the year. So he's averaging less than 1 touchdown per game he's played. Derrick Henry, yes, he is a world beater, but he also has 25% of his yards in his last game. I've got to go Kansas City here. I hate it. I know that Vegas loves just pumping up the line on Kansas City to take stupid bettors like John and myself out of this. But to me, the talent discrepancy here matches the line, in my opinion, because Tennessee's so. I mean, if you look at the two differences right here, right? You've got the line for Eagles versus Texans is 13.5, and now you've got a 5-2 team versus a 5-2 team, and the line's 12.5. To me, that means that they think that this is going to go the way that it should. Doesn't have the variability that Thursday night games do. The Kansas City Chiefs are coming off of a bye, which guarantees them a win, essentially, in an Andy Reid era. I appreciate that Mike Vrabel is, a gamer also. I love the dude, quite frankly. I just don't see that Tennessee can't hang with Kansas City, and it'll show in this game. Playoffs, maybe a different story.
Chiefs are 3-4 against the spread, for what it's worth.
It's because they pump up the line against the Chiefs because they know that they're going to get people on the positive side of the line that says they'll put up points. But the Titans, apologies for that slip of the tongue, just aren't putting up points right now, and the Chiefs are. I mean, if you look at their they put up 44 against San Francisco. They only put up 20 against Buffalo, but that was the best defense in the league from a points against standpoint. 30 against Las Vegas, 41 against Tampa Bay, and the Titans haven't scored more than 24 points this year.
Yeah. It makes me uneasy to be on the giving up points side of both this game and the Thursday night game, but I just don't overthink it.
Schedule better games, NFL. That's on you. That's on you.
So I'm going to throw one more thing out there. Titans are the 8th best defense in the league. They're not a bad defense.
Mahomes is not the 8th best quarterback in the league, so I'm not scared.
All right. I look forward to being right.
I'm not worried about the Titans D, unfortunately. All right, the Monday night game. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites in New Orleans, where the Saints just trounced the Raiders, as we've talked about. the Ravens have been very uninspiring. I feel like every time I've picked them this year, they've screwed me. But I'm gonna stay on it because I'm an idiot. So I'm taking the Ravens -3. I think that they're gonna have a bit of a boost there with the Roquan trade. Lamar has a tendency to show out in these primetime games. I can't imagine Andy Dalton continues to play as well as he's played, frankly. And I think that a field goal is plenty for me to fly with the Ravens in this one. Again, I'm just trying not to overthink it. So Ravens -3. Toaster, where are you going?
I'm going to go contrary to you again. Neither of these teams have been great against the spread, but I think New Orleans might have found something. They have this guy named Alvin Kamara. And if they continue to utilize him the way that they have, their issue has not been putting up points. And if they're able to find something on defense to slow Lamar down, I think actually they've outscored the Ravens in their last 5 games, quite frankly. So with the NFC South being as wide open as it is, I'm not going to call this a trap game for Baltimore by any means, but they're going to be a lot more comfortable coming into this game than New Orleans is at 3-5 and needing to win to stay in competition with those, again, barn burner Falcons. We just, Arthur Smith just turning things around over there. I like New Orleans here, not necessarily to win, but to keep it close enough that Justin Tucker is not the difference in the outcome of this game.
All right, J-Rob?
I don't know how I feel about this one. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take the Ravens minus... Oh, dude, I don't know. Because it's like the Saints looked good, but can you survive on Kamara getting 3 touchdowns a game? Probably not. So yeah, I'm just going to take the Ravens. The Saints D, as good as we remember them being, they're not that great this year. And so yeah, I'm gonna take the Ravens -3. It's low enough that a touchdown wins it, or nothing too crazy to get the points. So yeah, I like the Ravens -3.
Yeah, it's just, we're talking about a Ravens team that hasn't been able to hold on to any late leads, and a New Orleans team that is led by Andy Dalton. And it's
and you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, what the fuck is going to happen? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
All right.
But they've been putting up these points without Landry, without Thomas. They've been shutting people down without Lattimore. If they get any of those guys back and they've got an extra day of rest, I think that can be the tipping point.
Yeah, it could. All right, bonus picks. I'll start with mine. Picking the Bears game as I do every week. Dolphins are -5, and I'm going to take the Dolphins. Oh, it's 5.5 now? Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't change my mind. The Bears, getting rid of Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. Yeah. The defense is obviously struggling. The Dolphins offense is awesome. I think this one could be another fun one, but fun in the same way that this last game was for the Bears and the Cowboys, where even scoring 30 points doesn't necessarily get you a cover. Maybe that changes.
That was insane to me. Where did the defense, between what they did to the Patriots and what they did last week? That's terrifying.
The Cowboys. I was very surprised that the Dak was just surgical. But yeah, I don't think Tua is on that same level as Dak when it comes to their ability to operate an offense that way. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are still there.
They've got Jeff Wilson Jr. now.
They've got Jeff Wilson Jr. now. They've got Bradley Chubb now, which the one thing that was hanging me on the Bears in this one was, at least the Dolphins pass rush sucks, right? So Fields should have a little more relaxed of a day, doesn't have to make as many hero plays. And if Chubb plays, I'm guessing he's going to be very motivated. So we'll see what happens from that standpoint. But I just think the Dolphins offense, I mean, the Bears defense, I was very shocked to see what they did last week, but they were just non-existent. So I can't in good faith think that they're just going to flip a switch and turn that around while getting rid of arguably their best player. So Dolphins, I think, are just going to put up points and the Bears won't be able to keep pace. 5.5 is still fine for me from that standpoint. So I'm on the Dolphins, unfortunately.
J-Rob, I'll defer to you for the next one.
This one feels kind of gross, but I like the Packers minus 3.5.
Damn it. That was what I was going to use to save my marriage, but okay.
Oh, I'll let you save your marriage then.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I got more.
No.
I've got more. I
can switch it because I'll gladly.
I've got to get in on the Chargers too.
I wasn't going to go that route.
Money, I got to put my money where my mouth is on that one. So let's find out why the Packers are going to shit stomp the Lions.
Similar to just how Rodgers views the entire division, I think deep down he just loves, quote, owning them. And 3.5 to me, I think, especially the way last week went and the way the season's been going, I don't think Rodgers is really like losing sleep, but I think he still enjoys just pumping bad teams. And so I think they're just going to give it to the Lions. And the Lions are clearly selling. So I think they don't have much of an interest to be competing. I know it's a Dan Campbell team and they will always appear to be wanting to compete, but I just don't think that they're going to compete in this game. And I like the Packers over 3.5 or getting 3.5.
Okay. My most surprising line of the week was the fact that the Vikings are only giving up 3.5 points to the Commanders, but that's not my pick. That's just the Vikings being the Vikings, and they were still only a frickin' possession away from giving up the game to the Cardinals, despite absolutely outplaying them in every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, like I said, the Chargers have been my preseason pick. I've got to stick with them. I know that the Falcons have been cover dogs, but at -3 with the Chargers coming off a bye week, pray be that Keenan Allen is finally healthy. I know that that's been a big question for the last 3 years of his career. They just lost Williams. They got to figure some stuff out. But if they can't beat the Falcons by more than 3 points, then I think that this can be the end of their season. And with that extra time to prepare, they need to figure it out. I hate that Joe Lombardi offense right now, and hopefully they took the bye week to figure out how the fuck to utilize Justin Herbert to his fullest abilities.
Unfortunately, though, I don't think they can right now because of how he's playing injured, right? Like,
yeah,
the Lombardi effect compounds that by 1,000. But yeah, I don't know. The Chargers to me are like almost unbettable right now because you just don't know what that offense is going to look like. But yeah, I mean, I would think conventional wisdom is they'll be fine playing the Falcons. As much as we've just sort of talked up how they've done with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, like I still think the Chargers are obviously the more talented team here. And talent usually wins out. The Chargers are just so fucking unpredictable, right?
I don't disagree, and I'm not going to say that I feel the best about this pick. I just feel compelled to, similar to you, picking the Bears each week, that if I'm going to put my money where the mouth is on the Chargers, on this finally being their season to figure some shit out, that, like I said, I know it's the best team in the NFC South right now, but do we really think that it's anything that should be able to compete with, quite frankly, any team in the AFC West? No, but they very well could, just because it sucks so bad watching coaching staffs hold players back. And it's happened time and time again. I mean, you watch Justin Fields with Matt Nagy last year. Joe Lombardi is absolutely curtailing Herbert right now, in my opinion. And it's been happening for a couple of years right now. But 3 points, give it to me. I'll live and die with the Chargers on this game against a team that is far inferior to them from a talent perspective, and unfortunately not from a coaching perspective.
All right. I can't really disagree with you there. And you are 500 on your picks. So give this one a 50-50 shot that you
give me a 48 or 47.5% chance on this. That's what Vegas likes to skirt it down to.
There you go. All right. So picks are in. We'll see if we can get back on track here as a whole. But just wildly unpredictable this season's been. Obviously, trade deadline being crazy maybe reflects that to some degree as well. You've got the Seahawks, Falcons, and Vikings all leading divisions in the NFC. I mean, we talked about the AFC West, how bad they've been, but just wild year. So we are officially approaching the past halfway mark.
That's so sad.
Sorry to say. But maybe some of the stuff will start to get straightened out and the teams will become who we thought they were, now that we're past the midway point. But otherwise, any parting thoughts before we get out of here, guys?
Let's just play some more football. This has been exciting year in, year out. The only teams with winning records in the games last week was the Seahawks versus the Giants. And if anybody saw that being the case with, a 49ers-Rams matchup, a Ravens-Bucks matchup, please send me your bets ahead of time and I'll start putting those into the primetime parlay, because the parity here is just amazing. And the fact that the trade deadline was as exciting as it was just means that more parity to come.
Yep. J-Rob, I think despite the fact that the Let's Ride is not dead, the fact that the Broncos are on a bye will give you a pass.
I mean, I actually had a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, hey, we need an out, so let's get it.
Quick little fun prop if anyone wants to do it. I love the Bills doing a teaser at -17. I think they are going to shit on the Jets. I think that game's not going to be close. So if you want to get a little more than -13 on the spread, I think you can both boost that one up and still get your money. But on that bombshell, Broncos country, we finally get to hide. Yes.